It is only the end of September, but it's never too soon to start thinking about the beginning of next year and the 2026 legislative session. Many lawmakers are doing just that, with legislative leaders getting together to set their schedule and what they might want to talk about when next session comes along and when it comes to the budget, since that is all they are constitutionally obligated to do. However, shortfalls in the latter could lead to a shortening of the former, since it's no secret Idaho is running short on projected revenues. And it could get worse should Idaho decide to play along with President Trump's income tax plan. How much worse? Here's Joe Paris.
The date is set for lawmakers to return to the State House for official business.
The legislature will convene on the 12th of January at noon. We will then hear the governor's State of the State address at 1 o'clock.
Top legislative leaders met in Boise, and they already have a hopeful 2026 departure date down.
March the 27th is our target for sine die.
That would go down as the shortest session in a decade, and lawmakers have seen traditionally longer sessions over the last 5 years, including the technicality of staying in session for almost the entire year in 2021. But why do leaders think this session could run short?
If you look at the target date for the sine die, it's the 27th. Generally, we have years like this where the budgets are tight. We're able to get things done faster because we don't fight amongst ourselves as much. There's nothing to fight over. So hopefully we can move that date up. This is an election year, and I assume that everybody around this table is going to be a target of somebody or somebody at something.
House Speaker Mike Moyle set the stage for what could be a limited legislative year.
This is going to be an interesting year because we're going to be in a year where we're going to be reducing budgets, and we're probably going to be reducing taxes too because of some of the federal implications with the big beautiful bill.
Lawmakers will need to vote on conforming with tax policy changes outlined in the One Big Beautiful Bill. That includes no taxes on tips, no taxes on car loan interest, and no tax on overtime premium pay. All factors that would technically lessen revenue to the state of Idaho. The Nonpartisan Tax Foundation calculates a $167.4 million impact, but Idaho calculations could put that number even higher.
The initial cost estimates that I've seen, I think the Tax Foundation is reported at a $167 million impact. The Tax Commission, their initial numbers are higher than that, about $180 million. It's going to depend on a number of factors of what the legislature decides to do.
Idaho is navigating new projections on state revenue that are coming up short. Idaho's projected ending balance has been revised from $439.8 million back in April to $21.8 million in the current September projection, a drop of $418 million. Those numbers do not include the revenue impacts of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Republican leaders on the Budget Committee are addressing the current situation.
2 months does not a year make, particularly the 2 little months that we've had compared to those big months that are coming December, April, and June. So I'm still not crying wolf yet, hopefully that everything's going to be terrible. I'm waiting to see how all of that develops.
There are certainly metrics in business and economies that show growth for Idaho, but they are growing slower than first projected. It creates a complex question for lawmakers. Will they conform with all pieces of the BBB tax policy?
We are about to take on the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is going to be a conformity question. And to the JFAC chair's point, 2 months don't make a year. So what I see is one of the most prosperous times in Idaho history. I'm always puzzled by anything said otherwise.
Lawmakers were briefed on the latest budget and revenue position, ending with about $22 million on the bottom line, in the black, but certainly less than the April number of nearly $440 million. And again, this comes after Governor Little ordered 3% budget cuts.
At this stage in the game, I'm not ready to declare that there are stormy seas on the horizon, but the waters are a little bit choppy.
We've got to be prudent. We've been very aggressive in tax cuts, and I'm proud of that. That's what I think what I'm here to do, as long as we're balancing these books and we're providing the essential services that government's meant to provide.
All right, so let's talk conformity to the Federal Internal Revenue Code. We'll call it the IRC. So the state of Idaho, the lawmakers, they have the idea, and they have this every year, by the way, that they can go ahead and conform to the entire code, and then any federal changes they would adopt and they would go retroactively. But Brian, it's not an automatic thing that the state of Idaho will always conform with all pieces of the IRC. For example, in 2017, Idaho passed 2 different laws to conform to parts of the Internal Revenue Code. I know there will be immense political pressure on lawmakers to do this. It'll be a big question, though, of will this get a lot of attention during the session? Will this be something that gets just stamped right away?
And possibly, and I can't wait for somebody to say it's only 3% of our entire state budget of 5.6 billion, I think is what the state
Correct.
set aside. So 180 million of that is not a large number, but it's a large number. And it's interesting to hear Senator Anthony talk about essential. Remember that debate we had a few years ago about what is essential and what is not essential when it comes to what the government can do and provide?
I remember the answer being, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
As a reminder, though, the state of Idaho, in terms of rainy day funds and dedicated funds, there are a lot of millions and millions of dollars just in case. Just want to put that in there, too.
Thanks, Joe.